Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're going to begin the funeral services of Gerda Salzberg. For those of you who are here, please take a moment to be sure that your cell phones have been turned off. For the people that are joining us via live stream, we welcome you. Rabbi Meir Moskowitz will be officiating. And just again, as a last and gentle reminder, please be sure your phones are off not to disturb the sacred funeral ceremony.
We are gathered here this afternoon, to pay our respects, to celebrate the life and mourn the passing of Gerda Salzberg, Gertel Bas Avram, beloved wife of the late Dr. Frederick Salzberg, loving mother, proud grandmother, and dear sister. In the Jewish timeline, after the holidays, so this week is when we begin Parshat Bereshit, the new cycle of the study of Torah. And the book of Bereshit reminds us of the story of us as a people, but also the story of us as an individual. There are times that we're really good, and there are times that are bad and really bad. And I think Gerda is one of these individuals that not only experienced both extremes in her own life, but gives us inspiration of how to come out of a time of difficulty, literally being a survivor. And I think that's something that's very timely today. I'll begin with a psalm, first in Hebrew, and then we'll say a psalm together in English. Ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach b'atzas rishayim, u'v'derech chatoim lo yomad, u'v'moishav leitzim lo yoshav, ki im b'seiras adinai cheftzoi, u'v'seirasa yeger yemam v'loila. V'haya ke'etz chasel al palgei moyim, asher pirya yitim b'itai, v'aleo lo yiboil, v'chol asher yase yatzliach. Lo yichein harishayim ki im kamoitz asher titfenu ruach, al kein lo yakumu rishayim ba'mishpat, v'chatoyim ba'das tzadikim, ki yodeya adinoi derech tzadikim, v'derech rishayim toiveid. We'll join together in English, Psalm 23. You have it in the inside of your booklets. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. In learning about the life of Gerda and knowing Fred over the years, you have this image that I think flows well with the Eshet Chayil, the chapter that we read Friday night about the women of valor. Gerda was born in Germany in March 19th, 1938, and experienced the horrors of her youth at that time. And then, through miracles, survived and ended up meeting her to become husband on a boat from New York to Chicago, and started a relationship that continued with their marriage in 1958, and lasted these many years with children and grandchildren. If we look in the Eshet Chayil, I'm going to read just a few verses, and I think we see this theme of a homemaker, of someone that takes care of her husband and family, someone that works with their hands, and someone that brings counsel and a smile to those around her. Eshet Chayil mi yimtza. Who can find a wife of excellence? Batach ba lev baila. The heart of her husband trusts in her. Dorshat semeru fishtim. She seeks out wool and flax. Vatas bechefetz kapeha. And she works willingly with her hands. Vatakom ba'id laila. Vatiten teref levesa. She rises early and gives food to her household. Oiz v'hader levusha. Vatischak leyayim achrein. Strength and dignity are her garb. She looks smilingly toward the future. Pia pascha bechachma v'seiras chesed al shena. She opens her mouth with wisdom and the teaching of kindness on her tongue. Just hearing these words, we say it Friday night, many in a song, and it sounds kind of a little distant or a little poetic. But here we have someone that lived her life in this way, and lived her life when she had many excuses not to. What she went through, it's not something that we could fathom. And personally, I think it gives me inspiration, knowing that what we as a community, as a people, are experiencing in the last week, that there is a future, there is a hope, there is strength, and there is generations to come. Gerda loved her family, and that was her primary occupation, of taking care of her family. So I think it's most appropriate that we should hear directly from the family members before we continue the service.
I'd really like to thank everyone here for coming to help celebrate the life of my mother. My family really appreciates all the support from our friends and family. It gives me great sorrow to be standing here a short 2 years ago. I was standing here paying tribute to my father. Many of you know my parents' story, but for those of you that don't, here's a brief summary. My mother was born in Germany in 1938. Unfortunately, during the war, much of her childhood was spent hiding from German troops in order to survive. Luckily, and with the grace of God, she was able to survive the Holocaust along with my father. As fate would have it, my parents met on a boat coming from Europe to the United States. My father actually befriended their family. At the time, he didn't realize that this 12-year-old girl would become his wife. As time went on, my mom's parents would ask my father when he was getting married. He was 25 at the time. He always told them that he was waiting for their daughter to grow up. Little did they know, he wasn't joking. At the tender age of 20, my mother married my father. Their love story, which began at such a young age, was a beautiful journey of mutual respect, unwavering support, and deep affection. My father told me in his last days that he had such a great marriage for all 63 years. When my mom was 22 years old, she welcomed me into the world. And since that moment, her life was a testament to the depths of her love and commitment to me, my sister, and brother. At the time, my mother was the quintessential definition of a homemaker. She was always with me growing up. There's something to be said about that. We had a very simple life back then. I remember getting up at 6:30 in the morning so that my mother could drive my father to the Skokie Swift in our 61 Rambler. I would be sleeping in the back seat. I can tell you, no one ever ironed my clothes like my mother. Everything had to look just perfect. We hardly ever ordered dinner out. My mom always had a hot meal ready for us at dinner time. My mom also had many talents, though. One of her passions was sewing. I can remember going to what I thought was the most boring material shops, buying fabrics and patterns. She would spend hours sewing and cutting. Then she would say, "Look, I made you some pants. And let me tell you, you're going to wear those pants no matter how they look." One time she made me a teddy bear. I said to her, "That looks familiar." She said, "It should. It was your old winter coat." And I still have that teddy bear, by the way. My mom always used to love shopping. Shopping was her thing. Thank God I had a sister. At the time, my parents showed me the same love and as time went on, my parents also showed the same love and devotion to their grandchildren. I feel very blessed that my children were able to know and spend time with my parents as well. I'm deeply saddened that my mom isn't here anymore, but I have to take solace knowing that my parents are together again, sharing their love. I will love and miss both of you forever.
Well, my brother and I should have coordinated a little bit better, but a lot of the things he said, I said, but I want to thank everyone for being here as we gather here to remember and honor the life of an extraordinary woman, my mom. As we mourn her passing, we also celebrate the incredible person she was and the profound impact she had in our family's life. My mother was a woman of strength. As my brother said, she was born in Germany, and she did have a rough start to her childhood, having to endure the atrocities of the Holocaust as a very young child, and thankfully survived with her parents, her older two brothers, Helmut and Avraham, along with her younger brother, Gat. And then at the age of 12, she did board that ship with her parents and came to the U.S. to start a new chapter in life. And then at the age of 20, my father convinced her to marry him. My mom having some hesitation at first, but according to my dad's story, her mother said she wouldn't ever meet a better man. And she must have been right, as, you know, she and my dad lived happily together for over 60 years until his passing 2 years ago. And while I would characterize my dad as a more solemn and practical dad, my mom was the fun mom. I have many fond memories. As kids, trips to the beach and endless hours at the pool, my mom by our side. And at one point, I introduced my mom to the game of Yahtzee, after which we would play endlessly together, even joining in with my friends when they came over. And I would definitely say she was a Yahtzee addict. And as my brother said, shopping was also a big pastime for my mom, and I can recall the many weekends we would shop till we dropped, so to speak, always having to stop for a McDonald's Diet Coke and sit for a while to take a break and chat. My mom also enjoyed bowling and was not only part of a synagogue league for many years, but bowled many games with us as well. And she even taught us how to score a game. Definitely a lost skill these days with all the automated technology. My mom also had a number of creative talents, definitely not talents passed on to me. She was an amazing seamstress, and as my brother said, would take me very often to the fabric store to choose patterns and then spend hours whipping up dresses and skirts and blouses. She even made my bat mitzvah outfit, something I really didn't appreciate at the time as a child, but now looking back can see how beautiful it was as an adult. And she loved pottery as well, and was lucky enough to take advantage of my dad's association with Oakton College, signing up for classes and making beautiful bowls and other types of ceramics we would use as a family. My mom cherished her family. As a two-earner household, my husband and I would sometimes find it difficult to balance it all when it came to children's after-school activities and Jewish education. But Mom was there to chip in and to take her grandchildren to Hebrew school every week, and was available for the spontaneous early morning call when one of the kids woke up sick and couldn't go to school, putting her in the face of catching whatever illness our children might have had. My mom also had superpowers. She was a clean freak and could spot a crumb a mile away. She loved watching game shows, especially The Price is Right, and had a sweet tooth, always having cookies and milk before bed, or later in life loved those chocolate eclairs or chocolate cake. And while the terrible disease of Parkinson's ultimately robbed her voice and our ability to communicate with each other, I always felt my mom was still there, with her thumbs up and thumbs down responses to our questions and her little wave to us to acknowledge our comings and goings. I want to express my deepest gratitude to everyone who has supported our family during this difficult time. Your presence and kind words mean the world to us. Thank you all for being here to celebrate the life of my mother, a woman whose love and strength will forever be etched in our hearts.
Thank you all for gathering here today as we come together to pay our respects to my dear mother, who has joined my father in a better place just over 2 years after we lost him. It is a touching moment, one that reminds us of the transient nature of life and the importance of cherishing the memories and love that endures long after we leave this earth. As we reflect on my mother's life, we are reminded that the most precious things that we leave behind are not material possessions, but rather the intangible treasures of memories and love. In our final year, when communication became a challenge, I'm grateful for the angels who cared for her tirelessly, dedicating themselves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Winnie, Elma, Prosy, Catherine, and others. Your selfless dedication allowed my mother to find peace and comfort in the sanctuary of her home. For this, I offer my deepest gratitude. Thank you, thank you. My mother never took things for granted. Her heart overflowed with love, and it was evident in every moment she shared. She had a remarkable talent for noticing the smallest details, a skill that extended even to her trips to the grocery store. I can vividly recall her with a cart full of goods, yet she could recite the price of each item with uncanny accuracy. I remember at Contest at Jewel that where there was a mispriced item, and if you find an item that was mispriced at the grocery store, it was for free. Let me tell you, you did not want to try to pull a fast one on her at the checkout counter. She walked away with many items that day for free, a testament to her sharp mind. Furthermore, she was my father's partner in every sense of the word. In an era before word processors and computers, she lent her expertise to him, meticulously editing his papers for work. Her command of the English language was exceptional, and her contributions was invaluable. I was fortunate to share an incredibly close bond with both my parents. Now they are together once again. I find solace in knowing their love endures. Mom, I want you to know that you are cherished. You will forever hold a special place in our hearts. Thank you for all being here today to celebrate the life of an extraordinary woman, my mother. May her memory live on in each of us, and may we carry forward the love and the lessons she bestowed upon us. Thank you. I love you, Mom.
In speaking with the family, there was a theme that I noticed that everyone said in their own way, that it should be a celebration of her life and not something of mourning and sadness. And I thought how timely it is, because in the Jewish calendar, as I mentioned, the proximity to the holidays, so it's a time that we omit some of the more sad prayers and the Tachnun supplications and the Kalmale. So I guess her joy that she radiated continues after her passing. This is something that we could learn from her ways. So instead of these sad prayers, we're going to conclude with one additional chapter of Psalms, which I'll recite in Hebrew chapter 16. Michtam leDavid, Shamreini el ki chasisi vach, Amart ladenoi adenoi ata, Tevasi balalecha, Likdoishim asher ba'aretz hema, Va'adirei kol cheftzei bam, Yirbo atzvaisam acher maru, Val asich niskeem midam, Uval esa shmoisam as fasai. Adinai menas chalki v'chaisi v'ata temich gerali. Chavalim naflali b'neimim af nachla shafra alai. Avarech es Adinai asher yatzani af leis yisruni chal yaisi. Shivisi Adinai li negdi samid ki mimini bal emet. Lachein samach libi v'yagol kvaidi af besari yishken levetach. Ki loi sazaiv nafshi lish'oil Leisitin chasidcha lireshachas, Taidieni eirach chayim, Seivas moches es panecha, Neimois ben mimcha netzach. The Lord is my allotted portion and my share. You sustain my fate. Portions have fallen to me in pleasant places. Lovely indeed is my estate. I will bless the Lord who has given me counsel. My conscience admonishes me at night. I have set the Lord before me always, because God is at my right hand, I shall not falter. Therefore my heart rejoices, and my entire being exults. Also my body will rest secure, for you will not abandon me to the grave. You will make known to me the path of life, in your presence is fullness of joy. There is delight at your right hand for eternity. And we will say, Amen. Tehei nishmas atzura b'tzur hachayim. May the soul of Gerda Bas Avraham, Gerda, be bound in the bond of eternal life. At this point, we're going to hear from the funeral director of the next step in this process.
Ladies and gentlemen, the interment service will continue at Shalom Memorial Park, located at 1700 West Rand Road in Arlington Heights. For those of you who will be driving in the funeral procession, the procession will be forming in our parking lot. Please obtain an orange safety funeral sticker to place on the right-hand side of your windshield. Have your bright lights on and your hazard lights on at all times. As you're going through the intersections, please use your horn liberally, and please do not speak or text on your cellular phone while driving to the cemetery. The family will be returning to the Salzberg residence at 962 Suffield Terrace in Northbrook. They'll be together today from 5 to 8 p.m. Memorial contributions to the Michael J. Fox Foundation would be appreciated. For those of you who are here, that information is on the service folder. And for those of you who are joining us via live stream, all that information is on the website. At this time, I ask the grandchildren to come forward to serve as pallbearers. I ask everyone to please rise as we escort the casket of Gerda Salzberg from the chapel. Then you may return to your cars.
I'll walk along behind until we exit the building.
The family come this way.